Get a free no-obligation assessment from All Energy Solar's commercial solar specialists today by calling 800-620-3370 or visiting allenergysolar.com.
You can't go through a day without hearing about healthcare reform. St. Paul Corner Drug is here to help you navigate the ever-changing healthcare landscape. We are your advocate in getting much-needed prescription medication covered under your insurance plan. Need to choose a different plan? There is no reason to feel like you are drowning in the system. St. Paul Corner Drug can make simple work out of finding you a plan that best suits your needs. You can rest assured at St. Paul Corner Drug, pharmacy the way it should be.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain throughout today with a temp around 60. Tonight, more rain with a low around 53. And Saturday, partly cloudy with a high near 70. Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. They feature high-quality food and unique eating experiences for your next meal. Some of those restaurants and food purveyors include the Park Tavern and Vinaigrette. Find a full list of all those restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded. Broadcasting all along the Civic Media Radio Network, it's the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday. Good to be with you on a short week. Indeed, it does feel like it's been a nice light week here with Labor Day week just wrapping up here. Matt Patrick here today, 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. Patrick, I got to tell you, first of all, can I just say it's 60 degrees in the metro area. It's fan-freaking-tastic. I like it cool. I'm not one of these people. I'm not like, 85, 90 degrees. Nope. Not a big fan. That's why I went to the desert Southwest in the middle of summer.
It does feel like the first taste of fall this weekend.
Delightful. Just delightful. This is one of the, the people who live in the upper Midwest, they're not, there are sure some people that are like, oh, I love it really hot. Usually they're gone. They leave. They realize the lay of the land. I love 60 degrees. I love 55. The smell of fall. I love it. It's my favorite time of year, hands down. Absolutely. Of course, it is football season. I've tried to get Crute from Devil's Radio guys. I've invited them onto the show today because, of course, it's Vikings-Packers play as the first game of the season. I know that those guys like to tout their Packers. I'm not exactly going to Michael Irvin the Vikings here. I don't exactly. Yeah. Did you see any of the football game last night?
I did. I saw most of the second half, which of course by then the Bills just put it in beast mode.
Is it just me, or is I think this 3-game preseason, especially when they're not playing their starters at all, their starters are just not ready for the first game of the season. They let Rams sure as heck look like they got tired halfway through the second quarter.
No, I think that's absolutely part of it. And I think another thing is, especially for a team like the Vikings with a new coaching staff, new philosophies, that none of these guys have done any of these plays against real live opponents.
Yeah, I think this is going to go badly for the Vikes.
So
I don't know if he. I'll leave it open to him if he wants to join us. I'll talk about it here in the last segment this hour. But if he thinks he's going to come on, it's going to be purple hour. No. Let's put it this way. Do you remember the news story where the Green Bay Packers were using a robot that imitated Kirk Cousins to prep their defense? Can we get that robot instead of Kirk Cousins? I'd rather. First of all, the personality wise is going to be a lot better. Second of all, I'd rather go with robot dude than Mr. How many times has he had COVID now? How many times has he had to go on COVID protocol? Yeah, it's going to be a long season. I'm already looking to the Wild, man. I'm hopeful that the Wild will basically get out of the first round this year. The difference, it's the tale of two states. Wisconsin, they've won championships. Well, the Twins won the World Series 91, and the WNBA championships they won here in Minneapolis. I'm not going to necessarily discount, but when it comes to championships, they've got so many over there. Their expectation is they're going to win a championship every year, and they talk like that. In Minnesota, we're going to get our ass kicked. That's that kind of one of the things that okay, maybe, just maybe, if you can surprise us. No, I'm not expecting it to be anything big. So, I think that when they've come from my Lucky Charms, they're magically delicious. They've come from my Lucky Charms now. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration has announced it has closed its investigation into the people claiming they got sick from eating Lucky Charms. Now, I have just put the ball on the tee for everyone out there. Swing away, make your joke. They got sick from eating Lucky Charms. Well, anyway. All right. Now you got that out of your system? Good. All right. We'll move on. An investigation into the cereal made by Golden Valley-based General Mills, Golden Valley, Minnesota here, was launched in April. The FDA investigation has closed with no pathogen or cause of self-reported illness identified despite extensive testing of numerous potential microbial and chemical adulterants. Boy, that's what they make those marshmallows up with, those microbial and chemical adulterants. Delicious. And it's shaped like a horseshoe. Sorry. Hey, is there anything? I mean, Tom Hanks said it best. He was on Colbert, and in a salute to Reince Priebus, they decided to have Lucky Charms with Bailey's Irish cream on it. And they said, is there anything that ever has tasted like these marshmallows? Nope, not really, no. Those who were first self-reporting illnesses complained of diarrhea. I have other digestive issues. Reap what you sow. The first reports were made in March, thousands of complaints following. The FDA said it received 558 illnesses reported before it launched an investigation. General Mills, though, never issued a recall on the product due to the company never finding anything that would diet cereals to any illness. We fully cooperated with the FDA, which has announced it has closed its investigation. We've investigated concerns across the Lucky Charms manufacturing facilities and have not found any evidence of consumer illness tied to our products, said Andrea Williamson, General Mills spokesperson. So, yeah, you're not going to take my Lucky Charms. I like them. I like them, even my Lucky Charms. I like them. Worst Irish accent ever. Not mine, the cartoon. It's pretty atrocious. Anyway, can I just make a point? I mean, isn't diarrhea and digestive issues a major symptom of COVID? Are you sure you guys just didn't have COVID? They checked. It's not them. So, and the FDA, and it's not just General Mills. It's not like that baby formula company in Michigan. No, it's General Mills and the FDA have both gone over. It's like there's nothing there outside of your daily bowl of sadness. Don't get me wrong. I've got right now, no, don't call me a hypocrite. Patrick, guess what I've got? It is the fall season. Guess what type of cereal I have in my kitchen cabinet right now? It's fall. You know what that means.
Honey Nut Cheerios.
Oh, for God's sakes. What's wrong with you? Of course not. That's too healthy. Thanks, Iced Tea. No, it's Count Chocula.
Oh, I see.
Oh, yeah. You see, and I got Fruit Brute too. God, dude, how did they bring back Fruit Brute? I mean, that was a drive-by cereal in the 1970s. I was there.
I have never heard of that.
I was Target demo. Okay, so they started with Count Chocula. Okay, chocolate vampires. Who doesn't love that? And by the way, Halloween costume. Anyway, then came the Strawberry Frankenstein, because when I'm thinking about, crimes against humanity by rebuilding a dead body and reanimating it to life, who cannot think of the delicious taste of strawberries to go along with it? So then they get Frankenberry. And by the way, I think Frankenberry, have we talked to Matt Burke? I think Frankenberry, sorry. Can I call? Wait a second. From here on out, can I call Matt Burke Frankenberry? Seriously, Matt Burke, who's running for lieutenant governor in the state of Minnesota, former Vikings football player. The only thing missing from that dude's neck are 2 bolts. That's all I'm going to say. Or as I like to call him, Frankenberry. Then came Blueberry, which was a little bit of a reach, because Blueberry, although not even close to tasting like a blueberry, a bit of a fringe flavor idea. But then came the werewolf, Fruit Brute, which, Rainbow Pride, I'm all for that action. It was Yeah, it was literally, and I was the target demo back then in the 70s and early 80s. I was the target demo. It was there for like 3 weeks and gone. But it's Fruit Loops. It's kind of a Fruit Loops with marshmallows for werewolves. You know, if a toucan ain't enough for you, if you don't want a Trix Rabbit or the toucan, guess what we've got for you? A werewolf. There you go. Fruit Brute. So I got Fruit Brute. I got Count Chocula. Don't you dare try to pry my delicious cereals with artificial marshmallows out of my hands. How dare you? How much cereal do they eat to get the digestive issues, though? I mean, if you're knocking back a box of this stuff, I'm going to say, that's on you. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. I did also want to make sure I mention here, we have another letter to the editor about diverting the Mississippi River and refilling the drained water system of the desert Southwest, which, spoiler alert, desert is the actual adjective I just used to describe the Southwest. Desert, not a lot of water. The more you know. Regarding the Mississippi water letters of June 26, citizens of Louisiana, Mississippi, south of the old river control structure don't need all that water. Isn't that convenient for this guy out in the desert to say, they don't need all that? Now, first of all, I want to just make sure we understand. The water going down the Mississippi River at that point, not exactly the freshest water in that river system. Once you really get past Minneapolis, St. Paul, it takes a turn pretty quick, especially when the Minnesota River hits it right in downtown Minneapolis, St. Paul. When the Minnesota River hits that, and that's bringing in a lot of stuff from the farm country, boom, it starts to change. I've always said this. I flew into St. Louis one time. I'm looking down. And it's like, what in the world is that yellowish brown? Oh, my God, that's the Mississippi River. And that's at St. Louis. It's chunky by the time you get. It's just seriously, you could hike across it when it gets down to the Mississippi, Louisiana by that point. It is not the freshest water. So, yeah. Imagine. No, I'm not going to do that joke. No, not going to do that joke. No. Anyway, the letter begins. Citizens of Louisiana, Mississippi, south of the old river control structure don't need all that water. All it does is cause flooding and massive tax expenditures to repair and straighten dikes. Okay. I'll tell you what. I'll finish this letter in a second. And once again, you know what my rebuttal is going to be. You live in the desert by your own will. It's on you. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Over 98% of people who experience sexual harassment or sexual assault in the workplace choose not to report it. Whether it's the fear of retaliation, belief that a bystander will report it, or worry about career advancement, at MJSB Employment Justice, we help employees take a stand. I'm Bree Johnson, partner at MJSB Employment Justice, a 50% women-owned law firm. If you feel unsure what to do following sexual harassment, we will be your voice to speak your truth.
Be heard. You deserve better. Contact us today for a free consultation at mjsbjustice.com.
Think your company's safe? Your staff is working from home, right? As I speak, cyber criminals are mounting attacks across the country. Remember, when we're weakest, cyber criminals attack. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. The Rymark team is guiding our clients through these difficult times. In fact, demand has been so high, we created an easy-to-follow guide. It's yours free. Download our 5 steps to securely work from home now at rymarkit.com or call 651-328-8900 for a no-cost how-to discussion.
When you see bald eagles flying high in the sky, it captures the imagination. When you visit the National Eagle Center in Wabasha, Minnesota, your imagination soars. Meet live eagles up close, explore interactive exhibits, and attend exciting programs. Go behind the scenes, join an eagle field trip, or cruise on the Mississippi River, the heart of bald eagle territory. It's the perfect destination for families and learners of all ages. Open daily 10 to 5. This summer, head to where the eagles are. Plan your visit online at thenationaleaglecenter.org.
Hey, Minnesota, I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show, and I want to hear from you. Call in, be heard at 1-866-416-RICK. That's 1-866-416-RICK. 416-7425 as we focus on the issues most important to working America. The Rick Smith Show, where working people come to talk. Weeknights, 8 to 10 p.m. right here on AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
You know the date is broadcasting live on Devil Radio 92.7 FM in Madison, WTTN 1580 AM in Columbus, WAUK 540 AM and 101 FM in the Shaw in Waukesha, Milwaukee area, Bull Falls Radio, WXCO 98.9 FM, 1230 AM in Wausau, locally grown radio, WFHR 1320 AM, 97.5 FM in Wisconsin Rapids, Stevens Point, and on the flagship in Minneapolis, St. Paul on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday afternoon, 952-946-6205. So once again, we have another person in the desert Southwest who all of a sudden is like, hey, there's not a lot of water here. Yeah, okay. Here we want to look at the water down in Mississippi, Louisiana. The best solution would be for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to build an aqueduct from the old river control structure to the on the Mississippi to Lake Powell, fill it, then send more water from there down the Colorado to fill Lake Mead. Now, once again, I love how he just skips past the one little thing here. We're going to just have the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers build an aqueduct. Like it's the Roman centurions building one across Europe. No, we've already had people on. Do you understand how much altitude we would have to put on that aqueduct? We would have to have pumping stations basically every 2 or 3 miles just to push that water, which you insist is just going to flow right down there. All they do is need to build a pipe and like siphoning gas off. They just need to suck on the end of it, and boom, there you go. No, that's not how it works. You've got this little thing called the Rocky Mountains in between the Mississippi River and Lake Powell. It would cost billions. Let me repeat that. Billions of dollars to build an aqueduct from the Mississippi River up over the Rocky Mountains just so this jackass can go ride his boat around. I got a cool boat in Lake Powell. I want to go ride my boat. I want to go get water from over there. Bring it over here. I can go ride my boat. That's kind of what we're looking at here. And by the way, can I mention once again about Lake Powell, Lake Mead? These are not natural lakes. The only reason those lakes even exist in the first place is we dammed up those rivers and we drained them all off because of reckless use of water in the desert. You want to spend $1 billion, all you just need to do is fill it up. Yeah, and then you guys are going to drain it again, and then all of a sudden we're putting 15 spigots on the Lake Superior, the Missouri River, Mississippi River, and draining as much water as we can over there, just so a bunch of fools who live in the desert, who don't seem to understand there's not a lot of water in the desert, can basically pretend they live in Indiana, I guess. This letter goes on. About 4.5 million gallons a second flow past the structure on the Mississippi. As mentioned, New Orleans has a problem with that much water anyway. So, yeah, this guy's a real environmentalist, doesn't he? Yeah. They don't need it. So let's divert 250,000 gallons a second to Lake Powell. So, yeah, that's basically... what about 12th of the inventory of the Mississippi River at that point? Maybe a little bit less, maybe like a 20th of the inventory of, a little bit less, like 18%, 1/18th of the entire Mississippi River flow at that point over to Lake Powell, which currently has a shortage of 5.5 trillion gallons. It would take 254 days to fill. Lake Mead has a somewhat larger shortage, about 8 trillion gallons. That can be filled in 370 days. And within a year and 8 months, the aqueducts finish. Both reservoirs would be filled, and most of the Southwest water problems would be gone. Mm-hmm. No, they wouldn't. We've already talked about this. I talked about this when I got back from the desert Southwest. You guys don't know how to conserve water to save your asses. I have been to your communities. I see guys frantically watering 24 hours a freaking day just to grow freaking grass because you're trying to farm in the desert. I see sports fields at high school complexes, lush and green. Not artificial turf, which doesn't need to be watered. Fresh green grass, constantly watered in the freaking desert. I see golf courses all over the place. Golf courses just are a massive waste of water. All over the place. You have got a major problem with water usage. And if we filled up those lakes, without a doubt in my mind, within a few years, all of a sudden they're like, you need to turn that aqueduct back on. And by the way, I don't want anyone even implying that I'm suggesting this go through. The cost to build this aqueduct, which just have the Army Corps of Engineers, just have them do it, would be billions of taxpayer dollars. And frankly, I'm going to see that anyone, especially in the New England area or in any state that doesn't have the Mississippi River border it, that there would be a little bit of an issue of, you want us to pay billions in taxpayer dollars because you live in the desert. Yeah, I got a really kick-butt boat. It's really good. I want to take it out because as a middle-aged man that's desperate for love and affection, I can take that out and find younger ladies who I can get drunk and they think I'm pretty hot because I got a nice boat. I need that. I need that validation in my life. Divert the entire Mississippi River for my pleasure. Jeez. Selfishness. That's all this is. We built a California aqueduct that saves Southern California and a crude oil pipeline across Alaska, which were far more difficult than this proposal. I believe the aqueduct in California is just California to California, isn't it? I just think that they took the water from the reservoirs in California to Southern California. And by the way, they're running out of water now too, so mission accomplished, I guess. And as far as, we got Alaska pipelines, because in this day and age, as every glacier in the planet's melting and water levels are rising and it's ramming record heat, nothing says let's mimic that more than fossil fuel projects. Dear Lord. Move. I get it. Grandpappy moved out there and tried to make the best with what he got. I don't know what he crossed a lot of really good states to grow stuff in on the way over there. He must not have realized he could have stopped anywhere. But you bought a bunch of desert land and you tried to turn it into Florida. And now you're acting like, wait a second here. I looked at a map. Yeah, there's water all over the place. They could just shut in here. If everybody at the Caspian Sea took a tablespoon and flicked that water at us, well, guess what? That would be pretty good. That would be really good. It would rain over here. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. I've thought about your proposal. You're a moron. No, you guys can't have our water. It just is that simple. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Got a strong shiver rolling up my arm.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Ever since my grandfather founded Standard over 90 years ago, word-of-mouth advertising and referrals from our customers have always been important. That's why, after serving over 500,000 customers, we're proud to have a 4.9-star average rating out of 5 on our online reviews. Check them out for yourself and find out more at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at 26th and Lindale. Nightingale has patio, dining room, and bar seating available. Plus, they still have takeout and delivery. Their menu has lots of delicious options like the famous Nightingale burger and fries, ginger tamari chicken wings, smoked chicken liver pate, and more. They're open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with their full menu until midnight. So make the friendly neighborhood Nightingale your go-to restaurant in South Minneapolis. Place an order, make a reservation, and more at nightingalempls.com.
I'm Candy Brothel, publisher of the Twin Cities edition of Natural Awakenings magazine and host of Green Tea Conversations, a new show for people who are on a journey to take responsibility for their health and play a more active role in their family's well-being. Join me every Sunday at 10 a.m. as I interview local experts who share the latest in natural holistic approaches in a fun and informative way. So grab a cup of tea and join the conversation as we awaken to natural health. Visit us at naturaltwincities.com.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Hi, Minnesota. This is David Packman, and you can catch my show weekdays at 2 p.m. for the latest in political news on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hey, Patrick for Zero Res. All summer long, the kids have dragged in dirt, mud, worse, a few bugs, maybe more than a few bugs. And they made the house stink too. The good news is the kids are back in school, which means there's no better time to call Zero Res to clear the summer stench. Zero Res will clean up the leftover beach day fun that didn't stay at the beach, the spills left behind after the sleepovers, and more. And you can score big savings this month. Get 3 rooms pre-treated and cleaned starting at just $139 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning. Call today at 952-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. And when nothing but new will do, nobody knows floors better than Zero Res. If you're thinking about new flooring, check out ZFloors.com for Z Floors by Zero Res. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblat. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblat from Shamblat Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain throughout today with a temp around 60. Tonight, more rain with a low around 53. And Saturday, partly cloudy with a high near 70. Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. They feature high-quality food and unique eating experiences for your next meal. Some of those restaurants and food purveyors include the Park Tavern and Vinaigrette. Find a full list of all those restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Broadcasting live on the Civic Media Radio Network, it is the Matt McNeil Show for your Friday, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Dave is in Minneapolis. Let's bring him on in here before I get into the next subject. Hi, Dave. How are you?
Hey, Professor McNeil. It's always good to hear your voice on the radio. Hey, I want to comment on that water diversion in the Mississippi. Yeah, I'm in total agreement with you. It's like crazy. I don't know. Do you recall about 5 years ago, there was some Arizona company, some startup said they wanted to bottle Minnesota lake water and sell it in the Southwest in the desert. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do.
Of course, the state of Minnesota said, no way, but it's like crazy. And then another thing, you remember when the Bellagio Hotel was being planned in the mid-90s or whatever? There's like, hey, they're going to put this hotel, it's going to have synchronized water fountains in the desert. You know,
Well,
who's going to have a
and Dave,
Remember
and Dave, thank you very much. I appreciate the phone call. The Bellagio, actually, they do, and one of the weird quirks of the desert Southwest is Vegas actually does a pretty decent job with trying to manage their water, a lot better than a lot of the other communities. Now, I mean, one can make an argument, well, you're still in the desert, and you're like, okay, that's a valid point. But no, the Vegas is, if the rest of the desert Southwest was like Vegas, I have a feeling that you know, and granted, they still do have their golf courses there, which are a big problem, but they sure wouldn't be in the fix that they're in now. And by the way, I don't know if they did that in Wisconsin too, but what they were trying to argue is that if they bought lakefront property on a lake in Minnesota, I think this was what they call, that they could just put a hose into the lake and drain it off and fill up, was it bottles or trucks, and ship it down to the desert Southwest. And someone just sort of, and first of all, someone stepped back and was like, okay, have you thought about this? Because this doesn't seem like it'd be a very cost-effective way to do it. I mean, how much gas would it cost? How many gallons of gas would it take to ship a truckload of water all the way to the desert Southwest from Minnesota? But the state of Minnesota is like, no, you can't do that. You can't just put a shop vac into the lake and say, hey, we're filling her up. No, we can't do that. Once again, it's the desert. If you don't like it dry, move. Ta-da! 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. All right, so I want to talk about, and God bless Blue Stem Prairie. And if you don't know about Blue Stem Prairie is a news outlet. It's based in South Dakota, does a lot of talk about stories in rural South Dakota, rural Minnesota, and just rural stories overall. It's Sally Jo Sorensen runs it. It's a fantastic news outlet. I highly recommend Blue Stem Prairie. And she has put forward an amazing story here that just compares two different problems going on here. The USDA Economic Research Service had a report that comes out. Net farm income, a broad measure of profits, is forecast to be at $147.7 billion in calendar year 2022, an increase of $7.3 billion or 5.2% in 2022 relative to 2021. The 2021 value is an increase of $45.9 billion relative to 2020. When prior years are adjusted for inflation, net farm income in 2021 was the highest level since 2013. Net farm income in 2022 would be $0.9 billion lower than in 2021, yet 42.1% above the 20-year average. Net cash farm income is forecast to be at $168.5 billion in 2022, an increase of $22.1 billion relative to 2021. The 2021 value was $29.6 billion, above 2020. Needless to say, as you can hear, wow, sounds like things are going well. Farm sector profits well above average in 2022. Cash receipts from the sale of agricultural commodities are forecast to increase by $91.7 billion from 2021 levels. Unbelievable. And cash receipts overall expected to increase in 2022. Lower direct government payments and higher production expenses are expected to moderate income growth. Direct government payments are forecast to fall by $12.8 billion. So basically, as the industry makes more money, there's going to be less money coming out from the government. Yeah, makes sense. So you get that story there, and good news for farmers. It echoed stories in rural and farm media. Back in May, Farm Forum carried a column by Minstar Bank Senior Vice President Kent Thies. The University of Minnesota recently reported the average net farm income in southern Minnesota farmers in 2021 was $280,900, which was the highest level since 2012. The very positive 2020 and 2021 net farm income levels followed 7 consecutive years of subpar net farm income levels in the region. The 2021 net farm income levels in southern and western central Minnesota were enhanced by robust crop profits that resulted from average to above average crop yields in the highest gain markets since 2013. Livestock profit margins in 2021 in southern Minnesota were also mainly positive. However, the profit levels at much more modest levels than the crop profits. Okay. So you say to yourself, well, sounds like things are going well in the ag sector. But then there is this weird dichotomy that's going on out there. And it's the ugly truth about what's going on in rural America that people do not want to talk about. And it's the mental health crisis in rural America. And this is something that I have talked about in the Minneapolis show quite a bit. There is an epidemic coming. We are sitting on the precipice of a cliff, looking down at a mental health crisis which is beyond comprehension. We have not nearly enough counselors, not nearly enough, professionals to deal with this issue, and it's especially stark in rural America, where you might have one mental health counselor per 3 towns, and so they're overwhelmed with this. Plus, you have a lot of people suffering from mental health issues who generally are of the mindset that mental health issues are not something you talk about. You're just feeling glum for the day. You'll feel better tomorrow. And that's not how it works. There's a story she quotes here. The Minnesota Department of Health and Department of Agriculture are teaming up to offer suicide prevention training for rural faith leaders. The organizations have announced 2 conferences later this month with the goal of increasing suicide prevention. The conferences aim to grow faith leaders' understanding of suicide and provide resources to help those leaders prevent suicide in their community. And the 2 conferences come at a fitting time for farmers as they enter a busy stretch for the season. They are working long hours in the fields and are constantly worrying about their yields. It can be stressful and sometimes too much. Thoughts of suicide are spinning in their heads, said Glenn Bloomstrom, a retired Army chaplain and suicide prevention trainer with Living Works Education. Here's the line. He said, farmers are dying by suicide in staggering numbers, largely due to financial stress. Okay, wait a second here. Didn't we just look at these numbers? Record profits, billions of dollars more. Farm sector profits remain well above average. Things are going so well that they're actually cutting back on farm aid. The average net farm income for rural southern Minnesota was $280,900. What do you mean we have an epidemic of farmers committing suicide largely due to financial stress? This is something that is echoed as well in another study here. This is a report in 2019. State agricultural health departments teamed up to offer sessions to, talk about counseling in rural America when they see a farmer who's struggling. They use a suicide prevention training program, Safe Talk, tailored for people who work with farmers on a daily basis, leaders, insurance agents, veterinarians, healthcare providers, clergy, among others. At a recent session of dairy-rich Stearns County, about 30 people listened as Glenn Bloomstrom, a retired Army chaplain, suicide prevention trainer with Living Works Education, said farmers are dying by suicide in staggering numbers, largely due to financial stress. Many are living on the same income as they were 15 years ago. Interesting. Mental health care is important for all people, but framing farmers as far more at risk than others based on years-old misreading of job category doesn't address the broad-based problem, though. The CDC, they have a page on suicide notes. Veterans, people who live in rural areas, sexual and gender minorities, middle-aged youth, and tribal populations may disproportionately experience factors linked to suicide. These factors include substance misuse, job or financial problems, relationship problems, physical and mental health problems, and or easy-to-access lethal means. Additionally, people who have experienced violence, including adverse childhood experiences, bullying, and sexual violence, have a higher suicide risk. It goes on to talk about the CDC research have studied suicide rates in industry and occupation industry. Is the type of activity a person's place of work and occupation is the kind of work a person does at earning a living. The 2020 CDC study found that the suicide rate among workers in certain industries is significantly greater in the general U.S. population. Talks about agriculture as the fourth highest. Mining, quarrying, and oil gas extraction are the highest. That agriculture is in there at 36.1 out of 100,000. Suicide rate is also greater than general population for many of the other following occupational groups: the arts, transportation, protective services, healthcare support. You get the point. Okay, so wait a second here. We have these stories that are coming on out that are talking about income is record high in the ag sector. But yet we have this epidemic of suicides in the ag sector, people working in the ag sector, many of them due to financial crises. The problem here is clear as anything, as you look at it. The people that are making all this money is not every farmer. I mean, farmers' margins, I thought I saw was at 24,000. That's your margins. You're working insanely hard for most of the year, and you're making a total of $24,000 a year. That's your margins for a farmer are not there. So that's why it's really kind of hard when you hear this one story where he says, well, the average farmer net farm income in southern Minnesota was $280,900. Do you know how much money a large corporate farm has to be making to offset the margins that most people are making in the farm sector? You are looking at a handful of farms which are making millions, tens, maybe even hundreds of millions of dollars. And many of them, because of how they work farm contracts with the other farmers in the region, pay basically nothing else to these farmers and treat them like it's a factory farm, that even though it's their residence, it's a factory farm and they've got to put out the product and they got no sleep and we're not going to pay you really well while they reap in the benefits. And the system is not going to change because those handful of wealthy farmers in rural America buy off all these Republican politicians to not do a damn thing to change the current system. And it's so bad that even when the federal government does come on out and try to help with farm subsidies, an insane amount of that money ends up in the hands of the wealthiest people in each of these counties. It is plain and clear that there is this massive double-edged sword in rural America right now, where you're getting people who are making a lot of money, but you also have a lot of people who are committing suicide because of financial problems. That is something that has to be addressed. And as long as rural America keeps voting for Republicans, it never will be addressed. It just won't. 952-946-6205. We'll take a break. Matt McNeil Show.
If you're looking to save money on your home or building improvement project, check out Better Futures Minnesota's reuse retail warehouse in South Minneapolis. We carry salvage building materials such as cabinetry, flooring, plumbing fixtures, appliances, lighting, and more, saving you money and saving the planet by keeping these items out of the landfill, by giving them another life. Selections change daily, and we also take donations. Go to betterfuturesminnesota.com and look under Reuse Warehouse to learn more. Let us know AM 950 sent you.
Fuel efficiency is a must these days, and the best way to make sure your vehicle is running in top condition is to take it in for service at Rudy Luther Toyota. The first thing that happens as you drive your vehicle into the service area is they check your tires for proper inflation and wear. Oil changes, air filters, belts, coolant. Rudy Luther Toyota will check everything that can possibly affect your gas mileage and give you the service that you can depend on. And they can handle larger repairs too. Energy efficiency starts with a vehicle running correctly, and that starts with Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
Do yourself a favor and check out the amazing cuisine of eatlocalminnesota.com. More than just a website, eatlocalminnesota.com provides you with the best local and independently owned restaurants in the Twin Cities. Specializing in Szechuan and Peking cuisine, the Great Wall Chinese restaurant has been a local favorite since 1981. They offer one of the most extensive menus in the Twin Cities. Favorites include the sesame chicken, imperial beef, and Peking duck. The Great Wall restaurant is located off 45th and France, with takeout available too. More at greatwallrestaurant.us.
The next time you're out in South Minneapolis, make Nightingale off 26th and Lyndale your go-to dining option. It's a comfortable neighborhood restaurant that features a delicious menu of American classics, plus a wide drink and cocktail selection. Nightingale has dining room and bar seating available, plus takeout and delivery. Current hours are 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with the full menu until midnight. More at nightingalempls.com.
It's the Matt McNeil Show on your Friday, 952-946-6205. By the way, I will say, if you are a Wisconsin fan, that's a Green Bay fan that's coming into town, anticipate downtown Minneapolis being a freaking nightmare of traffic because you got the Twins playing Cleveland that afternoon, and you got the Vikings. Now, the Twins Cleveland, is that a noon start time, 1 o'clock start time? Do you know off the top of your head?
Should be 1 o'clock.
Should be 1 o'clock. Because the Vikes game's at 3, so and considering people just pour into the downtown starting about noon, it's going to be a mess. So plan appropriately. How about I say it like that? Plan appropriately if you're coming on in and have fun. Minneapolis, St. Paul is a cool town, so if you're in town, have fun. And there are plenty of places which are Packer friendly in town, so enjoy yourself. If you don't get a chance, go up to the Stone Arch Bridge. It's beautiful. Absolutely. Is it supposed to be sunny on Sunday? Do we know?
Sounds like it's supposed to be a nice weekend. After today, I think there's no rain in the foreseeable future.
See, paradise. You cannot take me out of the upper Midwest. I love being up here. 952-946-6205. Bad news for one. Trump is this fella's name. A federal judge in Florida has dismissed Donald Trump's lawsuit against 2016 Democratic rival Hillary Clinton and top former FBI officials, rejecting the former president's claims that they and others acted in concert to concoct the Russia investigation that shadowed much of his administration. Mind you, you wonder why, by the way, loon balls out in these counties where Trump won by 30 points are out there challenging those results, saying, he won by 300%. And you look at it, it's like, where do you get that? Donald Trump won the election, and he's still trying to make the argument that somehow how dare you talk about reality? U.S. District Judge Donald Middlebrooks said in a sharply worded ruling on Thursday that Trump's lawsuit filed in March contained glaring structural deficiencies. Who in the hell is even working for this guy at this point? Seriously, who is working for him? Glaring structural deficiencies and many of the characterizations of events are implausible. He dismissed the idea that Trump had sued to correct an actual legal harm, saying that instead he's seeking to flaunt 200-page political manifesto outlining his grievances against all those who have opposed him, and this court is not the appropriate forum. The lawsuit had named as defendants Clinton and some of her top advisors, as well as former FBI Director James Comey, other FBI officials involved with the investigation into whether Trump's 2016 presidential campaign had coordinated with Russia to sway the outcome of the election. Other defendants include the founders of a political research firm that had hired a former British spy to investigate ties between Trump and Russia, and a well-connected Democratic lawyer who was recently acquitted on a charge of lying to the FBI during a 2016 meeting in which he presented the Bureau with information it wanted to investigate. But none of the claims the judge wrote supported Trump's claims of conspiracy against him. What the amended complaint lacks in substance and legal support, it seeks to substitute with length, hyperbole, and the settling of scores and grievances, Middlebrooks wrote. Basically, he called him a petty little man. A 2019 Justice Department Inspector General report did identify certain flaws by the FBI during the Russia investigation, but did not find evidence the Bureau leaders were motivated by political bias in opening the probe, and said the inquiry was started of a legitimate purpose. Separate investigation. By the way, I believe he colluded with Russia, and frankly, I would not be surprised in any capacity if some of these secret documents he's got at Mar-a-Lago have been sold to the Russians. I would not be surprised at all. Hey, Vlad, I know things are tough there with Ukraine. Sounds like you guys are getting your cabooses kicked. But I've got this. This will only cost you some prime real estate in downtown Moscow and $1 billion. Who wants to read about someone's nuclear program? Of course he would do that. Of course he would do that. And they still love him, the traitor that he is. Of course he would do that. Separate investigation by special counsel Robert Mueller produced criminal charges against nearly 3 dozen people and entities and found persuasive Russian interference in the election, but failed to follow through and get the dirt on Trump, per se. Speaking of which, and by the way, talking about people that want to hold the Republican nomination for president again, I'm starting to think Kristi Noem might not have a chance. Now, first of all, she comes from a state that offers very little. People don't look at South Dakota and say, I want to be like that. Oh, like an STD at Sturgis? What are you talking about? No, I don't want to be like that. But, they were hoping that she would be, Palin Jr., and she's now got some pretty big problems, too. Noam asked a state ethics board to dismiss a complaint against her without a public hearing and to seal off certain records documents released Friday by the state's Government Accountability Board. The Republican governor, who is widely seen as eyeing a 2024 White House bid, argued in an April motion that the state's attorney general and federal Republicans who tried to file the complaint was out for political retribution should be removed from the complaint. The attorney general's complaint was sparked by a report in the Associated Press last year that Noam had taken a hands-on role in a state agency. Shortly after the agency moved to deny her daughter, Cassidy Peters, Cassidy with a K too. Sweet Jesus, what are you doing? Cassidy with a K. Okay. A real estate appraiser license in July of 2020. Noam held a meeting with Peters and key decision makers in her licensure. Days after the meeting, Peters signed an agreement that gave her another opportunity to meet with the licensing requirements. The South Dakota Legislators Audit Committee, controlled by Republicans. So basically what she did is her daughter wanted a real estate license. She didn't fulfill the requirements to get one. When Mama heard this, she went storming down there and she pulled a governor-sized Karen. I need to speak to your manager right now. And that's what she did. She basically, took the person who only was following the law of the state of South Dakota, saying you're not qualified to get a real estate license, and had them sit down with their manager and chewed them out for not giving her little princess the real estate license that she wanted. You need to do this nice thing for my princess. Cassidy. Oh, the South Dakota Legislators Audit Committee, controlled by Republicans, mind you, unanimously approved the report in May that found Noam's daughter got preferential treatment. By the way, and if it was so funny, when this first came out that there was this rumor that this had happened, Noam came out and said, at no point did I pressure anyone. And then you found out the truth that she actually, I need to speak to your manager. Yeah. The records released on Friday provided some new insight into an inquiry that the Governor Accountability Board has conducted almost in secret for nearly a year. The 3 retired judges who evaluated the ethics complaint unanimously found last month that there was enough evidence to them to believe that Noam engaged in misconduct by committing malfeasance and a conflict of interest. The board has said appropriate action would be taken against Noam, though it didn't specify the action. Well, I imagine wait until she talks to that board's manager. Oh, and that appetizer was not up to my expectations. Oh, Karen, indeed. All right, have a great weekend. Wisconsin folks, Devil Radio, that's coming up. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
Hi, this is Laura Headland. Join me this Sunday at 9 a.m. when we'll be airing a special about the upcoming Autistic Community Summit. This is the only event of its kind. All speakers are autistic. The summit celebrates neurodiversity. In-person registration is sold out, but there's still time to register and participate virtually. This Sunday at 9 a.m., I'll be talking with Zephyr James about the Autistic Community Summit held on September 17th. To learn more, listen this Sunday at 9 a.m. or go to the Autism Society of Minnesota, ausm.org.
Hey, Cudahy, this is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. On our show, we talk about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with Native news that you won't hear anywhere else. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weeknights from 6 to 7 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Standing Up to the Hatriots, the David Pakman Show, weekdays at 2 p.m. on AM 950 KTNF St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
AP News. I'm Ed Donahue. As much of the world mourns the passing of Queen Elizabeth, her son gave his first speech as monarch. The AP Sagar Magani has the story.
In a taped address, King Charles III said he will follow his mummy's example of duty to country.
That promise of lifelong service I renew to all today.
Alan Dweck was among those in a London pub watching what he described as a good first impression by the oft-criticized Charles.
He's our king. God save the king.
And remember the Queen.
I owe her such a great deal of respect and love.
British tourist Jenny Dighton said her goodbyes in New York as Buckingham Palace makes plans for the Queen's funeral in Westminster Abbey this month.
To lay my beloved mother to rest.
President Biden says he will be there.
I don't know what the details are yet, but I will be going.
Sagar Magani, Washington.
Bells are ringing in London and around Britain for Queen Elizabeth the day after her death. Flowers are being left at Buckingham Palace and at Balmoral Castle in Scotland, where the Queen died. Gary Collins left flowers.
A lot of sadness. With total respect for the Queen, of what she's done and stood by her morals and standards. She didn't deviate. She said exactly what she did, and she stuck by it.
King Charles told Prime Minister Liz Truss losing his mother was the day he had been dreading, and that he must try and keep everything going. The defense is rested in Chicago for R. Kelly and 2 co-defendants at their trial on trial fixing and child pornography charges. A tropical storm is nearing Southern California. It's bringing fierce mountain winds, high humidity, rain, and the threat of flooding to an area already dealing with wildfires and an extraordinary heat wave. The Dow finished up 377 points. This is AP News.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-452-5050. That's 1-800-452-5050.
SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Hi, this is Ken Hageland, host of Living Healthy and Aging Well, inviting you to listen to our live call-in talk show airing every Saturday from noon to 1, where we talk about your health and your life and provide insights you need to know to live and age well. Each week, we talk with guests who provide answers to important questions regarding healthcare, elder care, end-of-life care, and self-care for caregivers, and help you and your loved ones plan for the future and enjoy your highest quality of life today. Please join us every Saturday from noon to 1 on AM 950 for Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Is your remote workforce putting your company at risk? Cyber criminals are targeting your employees with COVID-19 inspired emails and attacking businesses like yours. Hi, Mark Sommerfeld from Rymark. Rymark has the tools and expertise to enable your employees to work securely from home. If you need help getting your staff to work remotely and securely, call 651-328-8900 or go to rymarkit.com. That's 651-328-8900 or rymarkit.com.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bankstad from the Minocqua Brewing Company, and I sell Choice Hard Seltzer. Choice is an all-natural, 105-calorie grapefruit-flavored hard seltzer for those who believe that a woman's reproductive decisions should remain a private matter between her and her doctor. When you purchase Choice Hard Seltzer, 5% of the proceeds go to support reproductive rights organizations in Minnesota.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get Choice Hard Seltzer at Lake Wine and Spirits in Uptown and Center's Liquor and Supermarket in Northeast Minneapolis. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Brett Johnson. Look for rain throughout today with a temp around 60. Tonight, more rain with a low around 53. And Saturday, partly cloudy with a high near 70. Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. They feature high-quality food and unique eating experiences for your next meal. Some of those restaurants and food purveyors include the Park Tavern and Vinaigrette. Find a full list of all those restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show on your Friday. Good to be with you. 952-946-6205. Of course, there'll be some. It's Friday. I'm still dancing. I'm still enjoying that. If you get the chance, stick with us. You can watch the show if you like. It's Radio for Your Eyes. It's on the Facebook live stream at AM 950 Radio or at Progressive Citizen X Matt McNeil Show. Good to have you with us today. Patrick, since Crute and the guys in Wisconsin didn't want to, they wanted to dog on the Vikes. They didn't call us today. What's your thought on the Vikings game with the Packers to open up the season?
I actually have no idea what to expect. I could see the Vikings winning by 35. I could see them losing by 35. I don't know.
I agree with you. Because I think that the observation I had last night, which is I think these teams are just not ready for the season because they're trying to do the old pregame schedule like they did, where by the third game, it was mostly just your backups. And then the fourth game, they started their starters for half the game. Then they rested them and they were ready to go for the season. They're not playing their starters at all in the preseason anymore. And that's what killed the LA Rams last night. They got tired. It's very different. It's very different playing soccer or football or baseball against your own team in a scrimmage versus playing a team that's trying to beat you as badly as they can. And last night, the LA Rams, that's what they showed. They weren't ready to play the season. I have a feeling, and this is not just the Vikes game, I have a feeling Sunday's football is going to be some of the worst football you will ever see.
And that's kind of how I felt the COVID season in 2020 when there was no preseason, and it was not pretty for the first couple weeks.
It wasn't. No, it wasn't. I agree with you. Packers might not be that good. Vikings might not be that good. I would say that if I had to put money on one side or the other, I think the Vikes get blown out, and I'm dead serious. I think the Vikes get blown out. They score like one touchdown in the fourth quarter and lose like 40-7. And then this team it will be absolute chaos in this town if that does happen. But I got to be honest with you. I really do honestly think that that's what's going to happen on this. So Twins play if they can sweep the Guardians, they can sweep Cleveland, then they basically will be in first place by a game and a half.
I have absolutely no idea how this team does it because you think they're dead and then they figure it out, and then you think they've got it figured out and then they crash and burn.
If the American League Central had any decent teams, we would be down by 12 games at this point. We went into this road trip, I think, down one game and one game behind out of first. We had 2 wins on this entire road trip, 2 wins, and we're somehow only a game and a half out of first place. And Cleveland was playing Kansas freaking City. How did that happen? Oh, God, it's just the entire division is just god awful. But, I mean, they could make the playoffs. It just is, Rocco's got to stop making the really stupid decisions on yanking pitchers. I'm getting tired of that.
Now, before we move on, when was the last time you remember the Twins winning a close game in Yankee Stadium? I can't, because last night, the Yankees have the bases loaded.
In the eighth, wasn't it? They bases loaded. They walked in a run.
Yeah, I think it was. Well, this was the bottom of the ninth. The Yankees, they need one hit to win the game, and we've seen this against the Twins over and over and over for years. That guy always gets that hit, and that was the first time in forever that I can remember the guy made the out to end the game.
I made the comment before the game yesterday, and I said, there's no way in the world the Twins are going to win today. I just didn't. I had no faith that they could, and they won. And the person comes back to me and goes, you see, they did win. I said, they had to basically make every deal with the devil to get that victory. They basically, outside of beating your own players, they can do it. Oh, the sports. This is why, why I think Minneapolis-St. Paul is just an awesome town. We are not a town that only exists because the sports teams are in it. Our sports teams are constant letdowns outside of the Lynx. Thanks, girls. I love you. You're fantastic. And they got the Basketball Hall of Fame ceremony this weekend, right? Yeah. Well deserved. Outside of the Lynx, every other team in this town just rips your heart out. So we just don't care. I mean, and that was interesting, as I was going to have the guys on from Wisconsin. You already know what here we come. We're going to win it. It's another championship season. They're all ready for it. And most of my friends they're like, oh, it's going to be, fine, whatever. 7-10. That's how we'll end the season. And, we won't be caring about games past Thanksgiving. And that's just that. I think that's just the way things are in this town. And because of that, we don't just focus on the sports. We actually have an amazing music scene. We've got a great theater scene. The town's got a lot of pretty areas to go to. That's the nice thing about this city, is that it's not, you go to some towns. Portland, Oregon, I think, is a gorgeous town. I mean, it's got some issues. It's got some serious issues. But I think there's a lot of things in Portland that give it a lot of, quirk and a lot of style, and I like it. It kind of is one of those things where the sports there are just not the priority. San Francisco is another one. You don't go to San Francisco. I know they got the 49ers and they like their Giants, and that's fine. It just is, you never go there thinking that's the reason why the city's there. Yeah, I think that's one of the things, maybe it's a saving grace for Minnesota, is that we've got the outdoors, we've got Great Lakes. You don't need to wonder what a manager is going to do with the team, when all you have to do is go put a boat in the water and go put a line in the lake, or go sailing, or go hiking on our trails, or go hang out downtown, go catch a kick-butt band downtown. There's a lot of things you can do in this town. And that's, I think, the one of the benefits. To a point, I almost kind of hope the teams don't ever get. I mean, it was nice when the Twins won the World Series, but frankly, we don't need a winning team to validate the city. And that's why I think maybe I got so angry when they're talking about building the Vikings stadium. They're like, if you don't build a stadium and the Vikings leave, we're going to be a second-class city. Get the hell out. Just go. Seriously, if that's really all you want, you can't be happy here anyway. That team sucks. It does. It just is going to be another disappointment for you. It just will. So you might as well move to some other town where at least you can go live in Tampa, that godforsaken hell pit. Go move to Tampa and live down there, and you can say, I got football championships. You won't have anything else as you're in, meth gator world. But there you go. If that's all your life is, then you probably want to get out of this town anyway, because this is not what this town is known for. People I know that live here, they follow the sports, but it's not what they follow the sports, but it's not geared. Their schedules, their lives are not geared around them. And, that's maybe a saving grace. That's maybe a saving grace. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. Oh gosh, I got a trio of gems here. Where do I want to start off with this? I'll tell you what, I'll start off with where we were at yesterday. Because yesterday we talked about, remember there was the story, there's an actual sitting politician in Minnesota who is a member of the Oath Keepers, the terrorist group who tried to overthrow the government. I know. And yesterday we talked about the story from the Minnesota Reformer, which actually outed the Republican in the state of Minnesota who's a member of the Oath Keepers. That'd be Representative Donald Raleigh, the first-term Republican from the city of Blaine. Now, Raleigh is insisting, his story basically is he was doing, research? He was working for a company called Trust Vets. He's in the process of co-founding a company called Trust Vets, which he works to veterans and business opportunities. He signed up for business emails and stuff like this. He didn't know. Now, he joined an organization he did not know. And one of the things I think is a very good point that the Reformer does is it was pretty clear that Oath Keepers at the time he signed up for them was a terrorist organization. It was. In 2013, by the time Raleigh signed up for the organization in 2013, the Oath Keepers had established a reputation as a fringe group with some violent tendencies. Multiple members had been arrested on charges ranging from weapons to explosives to sexual assault of a minor. From a 2010 article in 2012, once again, before Raleigh joined the Oath Keepers, the terrorist organization, they labeled the Oath Keepers as anti-government extremist group. The group's revolutionary rhetoric and military-style organization was drawing attention of other mainstream magazines. So it was easily out there. And so this guy was arguing, it's like, I just saw a group that says they were working with veterans. I signed up. I didn't do any research on it. And I said, okay, I think the comment and the mentality I had yesterday, and Patrick, you can kind of verify if this is the case. The mentality I had yesterday was, okay, fine. I might buy your argument, but that means you're a complete idiot because you didn't do the research on an organization you joined. Correct?
Yep, absolutely.
So it's either one of the two. You either joined an organization without doing any research, which makes you an idiot, or you knew what this organization was about and you joined it anyway. And I brought up a few other points. It's like, wait a minute here. You joined an organization. This was in 2013, and at no point you insisted. What was the your argument? The pictures at the time was for the veterans. One of the things that caught my eye was a sign-up packet that was designed by disabled veterans. We signed up for a whole bunch of the different organizations because we wanted to know what they were doing. Raleigh said he had no idea what the Oath Keepers was up to today, and he added that from what I've heard, they've taken a very dark turn. I absolutely do not support anything that they have to do with insurrection. So you either have... So I pointed out, first of all, you can either have no idea what the Oath Keepers up today, or you can say, I hear they've taken a very dark turn, and I absolutely do not support them. He is... he's never not promoted or spoken favorably about the Oath Keepers at public appearances. And so there's that on his side. But I say, okay, no point did they send you a renew your membership letter or anything like that? That was never part of their scheme there. They never sent you anything, because usually, I mean, you join one of these organizations, for God's sake, Sierra Club. Dear Lord, how many membership applications I have to get from you guys. And you guys are sending money, man, because those are packets you guys are sending. I get them too. Organizations I might have been part of at one point, and then basically I'm not member now for whatever reason, and I constantly get renewal memberships. Dear Lord. So, but I mean, I gave him the out that, okay, fine, I'll follow you on this, your excuse, but it's clear that you are an idiot if you basically are joining groups and you're not having any idea of what that group stands for. Now, I'll be the first to say this is coming from the DFL, which is probably not going to give Raleigh the best shake. But maybe I'm not really actually, I'm giving Raleigh too much leeway here. I might be wrong here. The DFL goes into the background on Raleigh's extremism. Raleigh claimed his appearance at the Oath Keeper members' levels was not really his fault. Raleigh said he joined long ago and that his membership was simply market research because he wanted to know what the interesting, cool marketing they were doing. Raleigh also claims he disavows the Oath Keepers, saying he heard they'd taken a very dark turn during the January 6th insurrection. As the Reformer notes, the Oath Keepers' extremism has been on display and easy to find since their founding in, I believe it was 2009. They did not take a dark turn, as Raleigh puts it. Instead, they had a chance to act on their stated ideology. So this was what happened on January 6th. Wasn't all of a sudden, we've got a new leader and he wants to talk about what we're going to do in D.C. next week. No, this was their ultimate goal. And it always has been the attempted overthrow of the government of the United States. So, like I said, going back to my theory, well, then if you joined this group and you didn't know what they were about, you're an idiot. Raleigh previously made news when he was discovered who had helped create a series of web comics depicting the murder of numerous people by gun, including children, members of the U.S. military, government employees, the president, and more. And by the way, I want to make sure we understand this. This comic that he was part of or associated with, maybe associated with is the better term. It's not funny. It's basically just violence for violence sake. There's a copy of one of these cartoons on Blue Stem Prairie, and it's basically a fantasy about executing the president of the United States. It's disturbing. It is freaking disturbing. Okay. In this circumstance, too, Raleigh insisted via exposed person that the comics were not his fault. Andrew Wagner, director of public affairs for the Minnesota House Republican Caucus, told Heartland Signal that the cartoons were drawn by Raleigh's brother, despite them being labeled as authored by Dan and Don. Don's younger brother is named Dan. So even though the comics are labeled Dan and Don, Don is saying he doesn't have anything to do with it. It's like having Goofus and Gus. It's like Gus, like, wait, why are you including me in this? Why are you including me in this? The bazooka saying, hey, keep me away from Joe. What are you doing? Come on. I have nothing to do with that. But apparently the cartoon labeled Dan and Don, the Don apparently is insisting he had nothing to do with it. One of the characters depicting the authors also had a bald character that resembles Don. Once again, his argument is that's just coinky-dink. Wagner did not respond to whether Raleigh knew the comics were being posted, despite the fact that the website the cartoons were originally hosted on, mygun.com, is owned by Raleigh. Don. Wait a second. You have a website? You are trying to put yourself as Johnny Moderate, and you owned a website, I don't know if you still host it today, called mygun.com? What the hell, dude? And what's with the fantasy execution comics? Like some psychopathic 17-year-old that can't stand to be at school. Dear Lord. Don, if that is Dan, your brother, that dude seriously needs some mental counseling. I am not joking. If that is what he is drawing, sweet Lord, you need to get him into counseling immediately. The Reformer also noted that Raleigh attended Mike Lindell's election denial conference a year ago in South Dakota, even though prior to the conference, Lindell's claims about election fraud were regularly and very publicly debunked. Despite attending the multi-day conference and winning their hacking contest, Raleigh insists he left Lindell's event unconvinced by Lindell's claims of election fraud. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if I can really give this guy the out anymore. That this was you were just a stupid moron. I mean, it's one of the two. You must have knowingly joined a terrorist group that was trying to overthrow the United States of America, or you're a complete and total freaking idiot. It's one of the two. I'm going to guess you're going to go with complete freaking idiot. But what's with the gun fetish cartoons on your website, MyGun? Well, the cartoons are hosted on mygun.com, a website owned by Raleigh. Yikes, man. What's wrong with you? By the way, not the only Republican. I got 3 of them today. Three gems. Are you ready? We'll go to number 2 in just a second. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show on AM 950.
Nightingale is your cozy, comfortable neighborhood restaurant in the Whittier neighborhood at 26th and Lindale. Nightingale has patio, dining room, and bar seating available. Plus, they still have takeout and delivery. Their menu has lots of delicious options like the famous Nightingale burger and fries, ginger tamari chicken wings, smoked chicken liver pate, and more. They're open from 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. daily with their full menu until midnight. So make the friendly neighborhood Nightingale your go-to restaurant in South Minneapolis. Place an order, make a reservation, and more at nightingalempls.com.
Hi, I'm Claire Ferreira, president and owner of Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. My grandfather started Standard over 90 years ago, and we've been a family-owned company ever since, serving over 500,000 of our fellow Minnesotans. I'm proud to be the 4th generation of my family working in our business. And when we say we treat our employees and clients like family, we truly mean it. See how we can help your family stay comfortable all year long at standardheating.com. That's standardheating.com.
And right now, the triple savings sale is back at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning just in time for fall. This month, you have 3 ways to save: manufacturer's rebates, utility rebates, and September promotions. Add them all up, and you could save up to $2,475 when you purchase a new furnace and AC. But don't delay, as Standard Heating's triple savings sale is only during September. So get that AC and furnace replaced before those cold winter nights while saving up to $2,475 with Standard Heating's triple savings sale. That's Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, providing the comfort you deserve since 1930.
Green light. Hey girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah. Street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Paul Metza inviting you to listen to the Wall of Power Radio Hour. We have been on the air on AM 950 for over 5 years, over 200 original shows in the can, including musicians, artists, promoters, authors, comedians, and more. We're on the air Saturdays at 6 p.m. If you'd like to advertise, get a hold of us at am950radio.com and stay tuned this weekend, Wall of Power Radio Hour.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So let's turn the roulette to our next Republican who's in trouble. This time we head on down to the brand new fledgling, less than minty fresh congressman in Minnesota 1, Brad Finstad, who seems to apparently be freaking terrified of talking about abortion. Yep. And this, by the way, this is not just a Finstad thing. This is a strategy that Republicans are trying to play out across the country, where their mentality is, even though prior to Roe v. Wade being overturned, they couldn't tell you enough about how I'm never going to allow another woman to have choice over her body ever again. And now all of a sudden it's like, I don't have anything to say. Don't ask me. Don't ask me. Run away. That's kind of, this is they don't have a strategy for this because it's turned 10 points across the board. He's getting dodged about his stand on abortion. In an article published Wednesday in the APG's South Minnesota chain, local congressional candidates prepare for November. Since the Supreme Court issued its ruling on Dobbs versus Jackson, women's health, overturning Roe v. Wade, abortion has been the top of mind for many voters as well. Ettinger has promised to safeguard abortion rights and portrayed Finstad's position as potentially dangerous. It's not even clear to me where Mr. Finstad approves of any exceptions for abortion. He said Minnesotans are very clear Roe v. Wade should be reinstated. Finstad sidestepped the issue, arguing that the Supreme Court ruling will return the issue to the states, while Democrats have argued that abortion rights should be enshrined nationwide by law. If not court find a ruling, Finstead said it would be an issue for states and the governors to consider. And here's where he is an absolute freaking hack. You already have the House leadership on the Republican side insisting they will, as soon as they get control of the House, if they get control, the way the numbers are going, it's looking tougher and tougher for them. If they get control of the House, what they're going to do is immediately pass a bill that makes abortion illegal in all 50 states. And he is trying to be part of that. So as he sits there and tries to say, don't hit me. I'm a scared little kitty cat. If that's while Finstead does that, is he a scared little kitty cat? I don't know. He seems to be. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. As he sits there and tries to run away from this, his own party has said this is going to be a benchmark issue for them. So it's time for Captain Sphincter down there to unpucker himself and tell us what he's going to do on this issue. This is Republican Brad Finstead, a pro-life candidate in the Minnesota 1 special election, did not answer multiple questions from the ABC affiliate last night on whether he supports abortion exceptions. There are health issues that should be considered. He's not going to pretend to be a doctor. Wow! How toxic is this issue for Republicans? A group of people who have told us for the last 2 years to take a horse dewormer called ivermectin and jam it up our backsides because that will stop COVID. All of a sudden now, wait a second here. I'm a politician. Where did you get the impression I'm a doctor? I don't know. How many Republicans came on out when the Mayo Clinic said they're going to have a mask mandate and said, we don't think you need one to be so healthy and safe in the old hospital? How many Republicans? Wait, by the way, was Finstead part of that? Wasn't he a House rep at that point, or was that before he left? I need to check that. I need to check to see if Finstead was one of the guys that signed that letter, because now it's real hypocrisy if at one point he was telling the Mayo Clinic how to doctor in hospital to now all of a sudden say, hey, where did you get the impression I'm a doctor? If you did, well, from you. Or how about when the other Republican, Dr. Jeremy Munson, went out there and was talking about how, hey, I'm not a doctor, but hey, look, there's insulin over here. I get that's perfectly good for you, isn't it? At least he implied that before he had to backpedal insanely because he was giving out medical advice as a guy who is A, not a doctor, or B, anyone that's dealt with diabetes. The Minnesota Citizens Concern for Life Federal PAC and National Right to Life have endorsed Brad Finstead for Congress in the special election, Minnesota's 1st congressional district. Finstead won the Republican primary August 24th, will compete in the general election August 9th. This is from a story from a few weeks ago before the special election. Finstead is a dedicated pro-life champion who will work in Congress to protect unborn children and their mothers and to prevent the use of taxpayer dollars for abortion. These are not mere promises. Brad Finstead has a proven track record of anti-choice leadership here in Minnesota. We can count on him to fight against women's rights to choose in Washington. Now, I paraphrase that. I'll be the first to say that, but you get my point. That was just a few weeks back. And all of a sudden now, wait a second here. Where do you get the impression this is decided issue? Come on. Don't hold me against it. I'm glad to see the media is now calling him out on this. I wish they would have called him out on the special election because they gave him a mulligan. But the reality is he is only months ago one of the most anti-women choice politicians you could see. And now all of a sudden, he's acting and gee willikers, golly gosh. What makes you think I'm against a woman's right to choose? That's a state issue. We're not talking about it. I like the term Captain Sphincter for Finstead. I like that a lot. That might be. We can have the pucker meter. How puckered is he today? Well, pretty puckered if all of a sudden he has to start. If the media starts doing their job and asking him, what do you think about a woman's right to choose? And he's like, hamina. Well, I'm going to take, during the break here, I'm going to pull up that letter that the Republicans sent the Mayo Clinic and see if Finstead signed his name to it. If he did, well, gosh, that's a little bit of hypocrisy. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.
Hey, everybody. This is Gregory Rich, founder of Habitation Furnishing and Design and host of Drink in the Style. Say, I'm willing to bet that you're hearing this in your car, and there's a good chance that you're heading home. If that's the case, let me ask you, are you looking forward to getting there? Is your home a place that energizes? Well, if it isn't, it might be time for a furnishings refresh. Think about it. We've all spent a lot of time at home over the past couple of years, and maybe you need more than just a new sofa. Why not have a skilled, professional, tasteful interior designer from Habitation help you create a space that is exceptional? Whether it's your family room, living room, bedroom, or even home workspace, Habitation can help you create an environment that is exactly what you've always wanted. Habitation Furnishing and Design, located at the District Edina, 7777 Washington Avenue South, and online at habitationdesign.com.
Hi, I'm Scott Shamblat from Shamblat Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shamblat Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
Hello, this is Ellie Krug with Ellie 2.0 Radio. Now my show will be on Saturdays from 10 to 11 and replayed on Sundays from 1 to 2. You will get to the best of Ellie 2.0 with talking about idealism with guests who come in and who are idealistic, who are trying to change the world. And you will get me, Super Idealist. Tune in. We can't wait to hear from you. And you'll hear from me Saturdays from 10 to 11.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Showers and thunderstorms through the night with a low of 53. Then the skies clear out on Saturday with sunshine and a high of 70. Whether you're dining in or dining out, Eat Local Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors will make your next meal one to remember. Visit the full list of Eat Local Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors at eatlocalminnesota.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. It's the Matt McNeil Show. So I did find that letter. Finstead did not sign that. But you know who did? Raleigh. He signed it. So Johnny Moderate up in Blaine is telling you, let me tell you how to doctor at the Mayo Clinic. But needless to say, it backs up my point. You know, if you're wondering why people look at you guys and you say, well, you know, why would you think that I'm a doctor? You guys try to be doctors all the freaking time. The Republicans do that all the time. Finstead, by the way, National Right to Life is pleased to endorse Brad Finstead for election. Brad Finstead has proven the record standing up for unborn children and their mothers. Jeff Ettinger wants to permanently enshrine abortion on demand. He doesn't want the Supreme Court to even allow Minnesotans to have a say. Finstead offers a stark contrast. He will advocate for the most vulnerable and is a strong anti-choice voice for Southern Minnesota. Once again, paraphrasing. So that's why Johnny Sphincter over there, Captain Sphincter, Brad Finstead. That is why he basically is puckering up every time the media comes at him and talks about it. But this is why the media has to do this job. Dude, you want a job that basically will write federal laws on funding for abortions, access to abortions, and has a party that has said that they will pass anti-abortion legislation for the entire country if they're elected. Do you agree with that? Yoink. And that, like I said, that will be that tightening on up there. Oh, Finstead. I'm going to enjoy this. Jeff Ettinger down in 1, by the way, and Jen Schultz up in 8. I think things are so bad for the Republicans right now. There's a decent chance the DFL could pick up 8 and 1, but it depends on how hard you're willing to get out there and freaking work. And that means you got to get down there and you got to make sure people understand the Republicans do not want you to have the choice on women's right to choose what they do with their own bodies, contraception, gay marriage, interracial marriage, and whether or not you can have sexual relations of your wanting with your own choice of partner in your own private residence. And there have been Republicans nationwide who have said all those things need to go. Clarence Thomas encouraged Republicans to file lawsuits and challenge things and get those things getting removed. So, yeah. Go after Captain Sphincter down there in 1. 952-946-6205. Boy, oh boy, guess what? I got another Republican. Wow. It's just is amazing. But this one's actually pretty bad, courtesy of the Minnesota Reformer as well. Reading the story. U.S. Representative Angie Craig lost her race in Congress in 2016 to Jason Lewis by just 6,655 votes. She was hindered, Democrats say, by the strong showing of an Independence Party candidate, Paula Overby, who won nearly 29,000 votes in the 2nd District. Democrats fear a repeat this year and point to a close ties between Overby and a Republican activist in the Tyler Kistner camp. A Republican challenger, by the way, Tyler Kistner, the Republican challenger to Craig. Overby, an Eagan resident, is running this year under the banner of Legal Marijuana Now. Does this sound familiar? Oh, how many fake marijuana candidates were run just to try to be spoilers in races? Yeah. Democrats believe Republicans are colluding with friendly candidates like Overby to run on the line of the state's 2 marijuana legalization parties, Legal Marijuana Now and Grassroots Legalize Cannabis, to pull votes from the DFL candidates, which is a scenario that played out in 2020 races. Overby is a longtime advocate for alternative parties, arguing the nation's 2-party system is failing and there should be a diversity in political parties so people can choose a party aligning with their beliefs. She says the accusation that candidates like her are just running to take votes away from Democrats is an old lie. But, no, I added the but. From Overby. There is no truth to that. We represent independent voters, people that have had enough of the 2-party system, Overby told the Reformer. It's a false narrative. It's a story they created to frighten people away from third parties. Okay. Nevertheless, Overby acknowledged she generally leans conservative, especially on fiscal issues, and has surrounded herself with conservatives. Okay. That's okay. Can I just say this? I want to stop really quick. This idea of the far right fiscal conservative pro marijuana, that is like your chances of finding Bigfoot in the Bermuda Triangle are greater than actually finding a real pro-marijuana fiscal conservative. Okay? That is just something that all of a sudden started appearing out of nowhere like magic in 2020, that I'm a far-right conservative on financial issues, but I'm all for the dope. Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's a created, made-up thing at all, does it? Not at all. Once again, Overby acknowledges she leans conservative, especially on fiscal issues, surrounded herself with conservatives. Her campaign treasurer, Jolene Johnson, posted a photo of herself on Facebook with a flag depicting Donald Trump photoshopped as Rambo holding a bazooka. Now, I'm not sure if Paula understands what independent third party means, but generally that doesn't mean Trump fan. That would be a Republican. But hey, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just reading the story. It's the flag depicting Donald Trump photoshopped as Rambo holding a bazooka. Okay. Overby posts photos and status updates tagging a man known colloquially as Liberty Longbeard, who in the past was a delegate for Kistner, the Republican attempting to unseat Craig. So once again, tagging a man named Liberty Longbeard, who is a delegate for Kistner, the Republican candidate. Liberty Longbeard, also known as Paul Tushy. All right, once again, I'm putting the ball on the tee for everyone. I'll let you get this out of your system. Do it yourself. I'll set it up against Liberty Longbeard, a.k.a. Paul Tushy, Tuschy, and we'll get back to the story, is a longtime Republican activist and former GOP state House candidate. Tushy was a 2020 campaign advisor for the late Adam Weeks, the other legal marijuana now candidate in the 2nd District with close ties to Republicans. Tushy told the Reformer, could we possibly have the story say Tushy tooted out? Sorry. Bad radio host. Bad, Matt. What are you doing? Don't do that. Anywho, Tushy told the Reformer in a text message that he's friends with Overby and has informally provided her with ideas for her campaign. Once again, a guy who was a delegate for Kistner in the past is working very informally providing her with details for her campaign, but he's never done any paid work or held an officially position with Overby's campaign. Overby told the Reformer the work he's doing for her campaign could qualify him as a campaign manager. So let me get this right. The guy that was a delegate for Kistner is apparently, by the description of the candidate, her campaign manager. Okay. That would seem to me to imply that he's a little bit more than just a guy that's offering a few ideas. In 2020, the Kistner campaign paid $2,000 to a business registered by Tushy. When asked about the payment, Kistner's campaign spokesperson, Billy Grant is the campaign spokesperson, said the payment to Tushy was for groundwork. He denied the Kistner campaign is coordinating with Overby's beyond trying to organize a 2nd congressional district debate. When pressed about the 2020 payment and connection to Tushy, who, by the way, once again, by Paula Overby's own description, is acting as a campaign manager for her campaign, Grant responded with sarcasm. Snarkity, snarkity, snark. Oh, let's hear it. I congratulate you on your groundbreaking journalism, he said. I'm sure it's a story that most Minnesotans are very, very concerned about. At some point, some of you guys might want to write about the economy, all the layoffs, and the happening stuff like that. But if you want to chase stuff like this, I guess that's cool. Gotcha! Zinger! I added the gotcha zinger at the part, but you get the gotcha zinger. Once again, this is actually the campaign spokesperson for the Republican candidate. And by the way, the layoffs that are happening, don't we have like the record unemployment in the state of Minnesota? What the hell are you talking about, man? This is thanks to Governor Tim Walz and people like Angie Craig. The state of Minnesota has got amazing employment numbers right now. So you wanted to what layoffs were you laid off? It looks like you got a job there with Kistner's campaign. Oh, it always works well. Trust me, we're seeing this. We're getting a master's class in this from Jensen and Burke right now. It always works well when your political campaign gets real snarky. Snarkity, snarkity, snark, snark, snark. Always works well. Oh, I mean, it's the sign of every winning campaign I've ever seen that they look like they're about to drown. So get more snarky. That's always a great humdinger of a way. And by the way, groundbreaking journalism. Have you read the Minnesota Reformer? They're freaking outstanding. Oh, but hey, what they don't do is they don't just push out Republican talking points as actual news. So that's maybe what the real problem is. But I'm just going with it. Snarky McStarky, zinger McZinger pants. You gotta. I'm sure no one else is going to cover this after that stinging rebuttal, sir. Anyway, back to the story. The 2020 2nd District election was rocked after weeks. Running as the legal marijuana now candidate, died September of 2020. The Star Tribune later reported that months prior to the election, Weeks admitted to a friend over a voicemail that Republicans in the 2nd Congressional District recruited him to pull votes away from Craig. The intrigue could have consequences. Craig beat Kistner narrowly in 2020, winning by 9,580 votes. This year, the race for Minnesota's 2nd District is among the 32 U.S. House seats that are most competitive in the country, according to the Cook Political Report. The race will likely be Minnesota's closest and one that will be watched closely nationwide as Democrats currently hold a slim majority in the House. Actually, I'll make this point. I think that as things are starting to go, I don't know if the Minnesota 2nd race is nearly as close as you think it is. I think that Angie Craig's got a really good chance of easily winning that seat. And if I'm the Republicans, I'm starting to get a little worried about Captain Sphincter down in 1 at this point and Stubby up in 8. DFL Chairman Ken Martin said in a statement to the Reformer that Republicans are using the same playbook they attempted in 2020. Given her close ties to Republican operatives who have pulled the same trick before, it is clear that Paula Overby is another Republican spoiler candidate who is running for office to get Republican Tyler Kistner elected. Martin said voters who choose Paula Overby are actively helping elect a Republican whose values are not in line with the residents of the 2nd Congressional District. Overby said that Democrats have always gone to extreme lengths to discredit third-party candidates. This is the Democrats attacking the third party as every opportunity they can. Overby, Paul, can I make sure I mention something? When the Independence Party in Minnesota cost Emmer the governor's race in 2010, the Republican Party sent a bunch of, well, I'm not sure if the Republican Party did, but let me just make sure I understand this. A bunch of far-right extremist activists infiltrated the Independence Party and killed it at their convention. So before you try to talk about the Republican Party is a bastion of third-party rights. You actually heard it when I said it. Wow. Before you basically try to go down that path of the Democrats are somehow against third parties, but the Republicans are all for them, you might want to go look at history. Now, that being said, if I can say, I would love to have an active third-party candidate, but I don't want a candidate who basically only seems to be getting there propped up and getting assistance from far-right operatives to basically take votes away from the Democrat. I think we see what's going on here. I think that there's clearly enough connections here to clearly point to something going on here. I can't say for sure what it is, but it doesn't pass the smell test. But here you go. And yeah, that's interesting. Plus the fact I can't turn down any story that has a person named Tushy in it. I'm just me. I've got to be me. Tushy, 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 tushy. We'll take a break. Come on back. I'm doing some dancing as we head into the weekend. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950. Hi, Matt McNeil here. You know my first Toyota love was the RAV4. I recently had a chance to revisit that romance when I got to drive a RAV4 for a week, and I still love it. It fits like a glove. And with the wildly popular RAV4 Hybrid, you get a vehicle that's stylish, energy efficient, and tough. You can't find a better combination. The RAV4 Hybrid is fuel efficient with an estimated city highway combined miles per gallon of 40, and the RAV4 Hybrid received a 2022 NHTSA 5-star overall safety rating. Test drive one at Rudy Luther Toyota, 5 miles west of downtown Minneapolis on 394.
Hi, folks. This is Kirk Bangstad from Wisconsin's Minocqua Brewing Company, and our progressive beer is now available in Minneapolis. Yes, you Vikings can now buy Biden Beer, Bernie Brew, AOC IPA, and Kamala, a strong vice presidential stout, without having to travel across the border. And the best news yet is that 5% of the proceeds of each beer you buy go to keeping Wisconsin blue.
Drink progressively with Minocqua Brewing. Get their progressive beers at Top 10 Liquors in both Cottage Grove and Plymouth. Find other Twin Cities locations at MinocquaBrewingCompany.com.
This is the Being Curious Show. I'm Brian Mariani, founder of No Shift Own.
And I'm Kelly Wagner, publisher of Edge Magazine. Our show is about curiously connecting teachers and seekers on a wide range of topics in a safe space.
And our intention is that these conversations spark your own curiosity that creates a life that totally lights you up.
We are on AM 950, Sundays at 2 p.m. and all podcast platforms. See you soon and stay curious.
Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style, featuring local, regional, and national Native and ally candidates, politicians, and political activists, every week until midterm elections. Join us on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Rock the Vote Native Style, educating and empower Native people and BIPOC allies to take to the polls and make their voices heard. Rock the Vote Native Style, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central on Native Roots Radio.
This update, James texting or tweeting to me. I'd like to report a jaywalking in Chaska. I'm sure Scott Jensen would like to know so he can blame Governor Walz. Dun, dun, dun. You know, I got to admit, I imagine the Republicans are furious. This guy that got the guy from Itasca, wasn't it Itasca, that was found guilty of the murder. I'll pull it up. I'll pull the story up here really quick. He basically was he was sent to jail. I imagine they're furious because they have no ability at that point. Yeah, the Isanti, not Itasca, Isanti businessman who came into Minneapolis, white guy from Isanti, came in and murdered someone, found guilty, sentenced to life in prison. I'm sure Republicans across the state are furious. They can't run with their Black Man Minneapolis narrative because that's kind of what they want to do. But much like the people who've been arrested and charged with attacking the city of Minneapolis after the George Floyd murder by police officers, a lot of them are white and nowhere from Minneapolis. But hey, God forbid we try to get into your Republican fever dreams and correct them. Patrick, I'm putting you on the record here. You said you had no idea. I'm going to put you on the record. I say Vikings lose by 10. To the Packers. What's your call on the Vikings-Packers game?
I've got Vikings winning by 7.
Look at the homer call. How about the Gophers? How much? If the Gophers play like they did last week, they go, what, Southern Illinois or was it?
Western Illinois.
Western Illinois. If you're not smart to get into Southern Illinois, Western Illinois is the college for you. What I think, I hope they play like they did. I'd love to see another 40-point win.
Yeah, I think it'll be around 38-0 again.
Our running game looks good. And I like how they got the season set up. Kind of these Hostess cupcakes and Twinkies until you get into the meat of the season. I think that the Gophers could end up going far. I like the looks of that. So we are heading into a weekend. I hope you have a good weekend. Stay warm out there. It sounds like it's going to be our first cooler than it has been weekend. So all my best on that. We have got, if you are coming up here in the 5 o'clock hour, Devil Radio takes over. Native Roots Radio. If you're not listening to Native Roots Radio and Robert Pilot and Ogama Ganuikwe, she's fantastic with the news. That's coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. Stay with us for the evening. All sorts of great programming all the way through the night here. Have a wonderful weekend as well. Join us all weekend long for our great weekend programming. Dancing out into the weekend for you. There you go. Johnny Cash. Have a good one. We are back on a Monday. Till then, see ya.
Love is a burning thing, and it makes a fiery ring. Bound by wild desire, I fell into a ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire, the ring of fire. I fell into a burning ring of fire. I went down, 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 and the flames went higher. And it burns, burns, burns. The ring of fire, the ring of fire. The taste.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything
except your intelligence.
Coming up, it's our annual summer reading list.
The banned books edition.
Banned? Removing